Chelsi's going to show you release 8 of the Bloom-Topia Quilt Along, and it's going to be super fast because we're using triangles on a roll. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to release 8 of the Bloom-Topia Quilt Along. Today we're going to be making the corn and beans block. So let's get started. So first, you're going to need a background rectangle and also a fabric rectangle, and you're going to place those two together, right sides together, just like this. And then we are also going to be using our triangle on a roll paper today as well. It's going to make things a lot easier and more efficient. So now note, I always pin my paper in place, that way it doesn't move around while I'm sewing it. So you're going to sew on the dotted lines as shown here, and then you'll cut along the solid line to get your half square triangles, and you will have 12 of those when you're finished. Okay, so now we're going to make our flying geese units. You'll need a background square and one fabric rectangle, and you will draw a line on the background square corner to corner, just like that, and then you'll place them right sides together. You'll sew on the drawn line, and then you'll trim 1/4 inch away. You'll have your first portion of the flying geese block, and then you'll repeat that first step to complete your flying geese block. And you will need 4 flying geese blocks. All right, so now we're going to make some triangles, and this part's really easy. You'll just need a small background square and 2 large fabric squares, 1 background, 1 fabric print. And you're just going to cut a diagonal line once across each one, and then you'll need 8 small background triangles, and you'll need 2 of each of these fabric triangles. Okay, so now we're gonna get started with our cat's cradle blocks. You'll use the half square triangles that you made in step 1, 2 small background triangles, and then 1 print triangle and 1 background triangle. So 2 different cat's cradles we'll be making right here. So you'll use a half square triangle and 2 triangles, and you'll sew each of these to the half square triangle on both blocks. And then once you have those sections sewn together, you'll sew the larger triangles to that section. Once you've sewn those together, you'll have your cat's cradle blocks completed, and you're also going to make 2 of each of these blocks. Once you've completed your cat's cradle blocks, you'll assemble 2 blue blocks and 2 white blocks. You'll sew them together, and then you'll sew your final 2 sections together until you have your completed cat's cradle block. Now we're going to start assembling the top and bottom corn and beans units and the side corn and bean units. So for the top and bottom, you'll need 1 flying geese unit, 2 half square triangles, and then also 2 background squares that'll be placed on the end of this unit. So all you're going to do is sew them in a row, and then for the side units, you'll need 1 flying geese unit and 2 half square triangle units to complete the side units. And when you're done, you'll have your top and bottom unit as well as your side unit. You'll need to make 2 of these units, 1 for the top, 1 for the bottom, and then you'll also need to make 2 of these units for both sides of the finished block. Okay, so now all we need to do is assemble the final block. So in the last step that we did, we made these 2 side corn and beans units and the top and bottom units. First, you're going to sew the sides on, left and right, and after that, you'll sew the top and bottom units on. And when you're done, you will have 1 final corn and beans block. Please join us back here in 2 weeks for release 9.